What's going on, y'all, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to do something a little special. I don't do this too often, but I have been branching out into other games, and today I'm very excited to share with y'all my first impression overall review, just to get y'all in the know. If you have been living under a rock and haven't heard of it, this game is called Honkai Star Rail. Now, those of you that have heard of this game, maybe you've been following it, you've played other MiHoYo games, you know, a lot of y'all will be very familiar with it. But for anyone that hasn't already heard of it, maybe just you want to know more, I'm going to take you guys through my own experience. We'll cover the whole shebang, talk about from start to finish, at least what I've played in this brief beta, and I think you guys will be excited to hear more about it, so I can't wait to share with y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in, and let's cover Honkai Star Rail. Honkai Star Rail is an upcoming free-to-play 3D tactical role-playing game developed and published by HoYoverse, which I mentioned at the start. It's the fourth installment in the Honkai series, using brand new characters along with alternate versions of existing characters from Honkai Impact 3rd. Now, if you never played any other games in the Honkai series, don't worry, I haven't either. I have a bunch of friends that played Honkai Impact, but I wasn't playing mobile games at the time. I wish I had, but it's not an issue. Honkai Star Rail, at least from what I've experienced so far, can definitely be treated as a standalone game, and the bonus is just, if you were a HoYoverse fan playing Honkai, then some of the alternate characters that you might recognize is just an added bonus. But anyone that is new to this series, genre, game, whatever it might be, you'll have the same amount of enjoyment. It definitely can be treated as a standalone, so no worries in that regard. All right, with all that being said, let me get a little more personal here and talk about my own experiences and what I feel and think about the game thus far, at least for this latest beta. Straight out the gate, guys, my first impression, just visually, let's start with that, has been absolutely insane. The visuals, the quality, the production value was out of this world, no pun intended. Now, those of you that have played other games in the HoYoverse, this level of quality might be already, you know, you might be used to it, you might be expecting it, but as someone who hasn't played too much in this series, I was blown away. The cutscenes that they're going to hit you with from the start, as well as sprinkled in as you progress throughout the story, are absolutely gorgeous. Past the cutscenes, the combat animations are also incredible. Now, I'm not going to talk about the combat mechanics just yet, but make sure y'all stay tuned for that portion, as it's going to be one of the biggest factors, at least in my opinion, on how much you guys will enjoy Star Rail. Now, looking at the in-game user interface, everything is clean, neat, easy to find. As someone that's been lost in other games that overwhelm you with certain features, everything is like a mess to find, Honkai Star Rail has just been super clean, neat, and easy to find all the stuff that you're going to need to navigate different sections of the game, different areas, or just managing your characters, inventory, team setups, etc. I think they did an absolute stellar job in terms of all that stuff. Now, in terms of tutorials, a lot of the games too will either try to hold your hand too much or give you absolutely no info, no direction at all. I think Star Rail also did a great balance in terms of not holding your hand too much, but definitely guiding you so you don't get lost if you're brand new to this sort of game or genre. Now, real quick, don't worry, guys, I'm gonna clear out those red notifications, those exclamation points. It's probably driving some of y'all crazy, but I just logged in. I'm gonna do all my dailies, all that good stuff here in just a minute. But I just want to show you all real quick how the world layout looks in terms of you know, before we get into the combat, all that other stuff we're going to cover here. But the enemies are roaming in the world. The world looks absolutely amazing. You can hit them to get like a little bit of an advantage here, but we'll break that down in the combat section shortly. I don't want to show too much in the world, just everything looks amazing, looks flawless, and I want to quickly touch on the actual performance, as this client has been so smooth, guys. It's been working like a dream. Now, in other mobile games, if you have to play on an emulator, maybe the port itself, maybe it has its own client, a lot of times I've experienced, and there's nothing, not to slight any other game out there, but a lot of times you encounter crashes, bugs, all that kind of stuff. Now, Star Rail is in beta, but the client itself has been perfect. I haven't received or experienced any types of hang up, lag, crashing. It all works absolutely flawlessly. And of course, if you guys need to scale down some settings, they have all the features you might need as well. But for me, it's been perfect. Now let's get into the juicy portion of our review, guys. I want to talk with y'all about the combat in Honkai Star Rail. I kind of mentioned previously that this might be one of the biggest factors that y'all need to be aware of if you haven't already tried out the game, as the combat here is very different than other installments in the HoYoverse. The major difference in Star Rail is, of course, the fact that it is turn-based. It's a turn-based combat system. Now, for all my watchers out there that love turn-based systems, stay tuned. You guys are going to love this next part. I can't wait to share with you all the details, as there's additional layers that made me love this system even more. I've always enjoyed turn-based games ever since I was a kid. no exception in mobile games as well. But I know a lot of players or people that are coming from the HoYoverse, maybe that have played similar games that have, you know, more of the real-time action. You know, you press an ability, have to dodge, have to land skills, etc. This is definitely going to be a different experience for you. Let's jump in a battle together so I can show y'all firsthand a little bit of the combat systems in play. I don't want to talk about it too much, as this is just an overview. I don't want to spoil too much, as well as I'm learning more of the mechanics myself still, but just a quick overview. Every character has in their skill page basic attacks, right, which is just the most basic form of attacking. Skills, which will cost points. I'll show you all that in just a second. Ultimate abilities, which is one of the best features I've seen in Star Rail, which makes the combat, this turn-based system, very, very refreshing. I like the take they did. We'll cover that soon. Talents, which are typically just passives, and techniques, which are kind of these like out of combat mechanics you can use to help shape the battlefield or give yourself an advantage when you're in this exploratory mode. As y'all can see here, our main character has a heal, but we don't need that as we're already topped off. So instead, let's go ahead and swap over to Ting Yun. As I did mention, we can get an advantage, right, by hitting certain units. This should be the right element. As you see, we got a weakness buff, so we attack the enemy out of turn with a certain unit, and we have this, you know, we break the top bar here over the units. That's just called the break bar, guys. Effectively, it's like a second part of their health where when you break it, they'll get stunned, and I believe they would receive additional damage. But here is the turn-based section of the game that I'm just going to cover with y'all quickly so y'all can see firsthand. Ting Yun here, the with which I believe our cat ears, fox ears, has the support abilities. She can buff our characters, and our main character here is our main damage dealer, so we'll give her some buffs. At the bottom of section here, we have the ability points bar that I mentioned. Certain abilities, if you want to use like you see here, Q is our basics, and E will give us like certain additional effects. This one is AoE. That will cost ability points. And then on the left hand side here, guys, you have the turn order bar. This is just the very basics, but you can see which turn order characters are going to take. Here we have the main character, which got buffed, and we can do some more AoE damage here, which will hit all units. This is Natasha, our healer, and now the enemies are taking turns real quick. So very simple, basic combat that you guys will all get the hang of super quick. But I did want to show y'all something here. Our Natasha was slowest behind our enemies, but I mentioned ultimate abilities, which was a refreshing take. I can press when our ultimate is ready and immediately cut into the combat readiness bar, the turn order bar, and now we take our turn with our main character, even though she was, you know, already at the back. Now this is very important for a few reasons. This lets you save certain abilities depending on what they do. For example, if Natasha has her ultimate, she can AoE heal our team, which was very important for me on certain difficult boss stages. I would save that for when a boss hit me with a big move and I needed to recover before it finished me off. You can sort of manipulate the turn orders with that. There's a lot of moves that happen out of turn as well. I just think there's a lot to it that I was pleasantly surprised with that helps really separate it from just being a turn-based system. But overall, that's it in a nutshell, guys. There's different types of units that have different abilities. It's up to you to find out your favorite combos. Maybe you're more of a looks in terms of collecting. Maybe you're more a meta player. You want to farm and grind as fast as possible. And speaking of, some of y'all might be asking, yes, there is a speed up feature as well as an auto feature. So for those of you that do expect to, you know, grind a lot and don't want to have to manual every single battle, you will be satisfied to know that there is definitely an auto mode, and the AI so far has seemed pretty good, at least when I was running it for certain types of modes that we're going to cover here in the next section, the different modes in Honkai Star Rail. So let's navigate through the sweet UI that Star Rail has provided us with and check out the guide here. I did mention I haven't done my daily training, but there are daily systems here. Guys, to get rewards, you just do these missions. A lot of other games have this. This shouldn't be anything new to y'all. In terms of the other game modes that we can access, at least so far that I've seen in this beta, there's the simulated universe, one of my favorite features as well. Now this is, I think, is going to be one of the end game modes, or at least one of the most rewarding and difficult modes that you can achieve, or a challenge in Honkai Star Rail. As you can see here, there's a weekly point system, so there's a daily system. This is one of the weekly modes that you can do, and there's scaling rewards depending on how well you do in it. But simulated universe is to me a roguelike function. If you don't know what roguelike means, that means like every time you start over, you can take a different journey, or it'll be a different experience in terms of the buffs you receive. So you're gonna have to manage some resources, get different types of buffs, and fight challenging enemies through multiple stages. And you'll do that, I guess, as many times as you want, or at least enough to get those weekly point rewards. This was very difficult for me. I had to start over a few times, try out a different few different buffs, try a few different team comps, but it's cool as you progress through the stages, try out different buffs. You stop in certain areas to either change out your teammates, upgrade certain buffs you received. There's a lot to it in terms of this roguelike mode. The simulated universe, though, was very, very fun. I liked this. I like seeing that there is kind of this end game thing that I think will definitely push the challenge for players that are seeking out more difficult, at least PvE modes. Next up, guys, we have the Calyx, or the Golden. This is kind of the resources that you'll use here. The Trailblaze Power. And this is where you can get a lot of your resources. A lot of you are very, very used to this kind of like replenishing resource. And so every day you'll have these different areas that you can open daily. We can teleport to them very simply. So let's go ahead and head to one of them right now. We open the Calyx Golden and we can see the rewards we get. This one will give Trailblaze XP as well as some other rewards. And right, I mentioned, guys, that there is like a auto feature as well as a scaling feature here. So if we want to use up to 6 battles at once, we can. We have 180 cap. This will use 61/3 of what we have right now. We set our team, start the challenge, and if you didn't want to play manually, I showed y'all earlier, you can set the auto feature, and as long as your team is good enough, as long as you have a coherent or cohesive team, get your grind on. Last but not least, guys, I'll take y'all through just the character detail page, as some of y'all will want to know about this real quick. There is Ascension, which I just unlocked from hitting a certain account level. That'll be our breakthrough to get past like level 20, which is like the initial point you start at. Light cones are equipment that you will be able to either summon for, or the game will give you throughout the story mode, that you can equip and sort of customize your characters. They all have specific passives, additional abilities, etc., and they need to be used on certain paths, which we're not going to cover right now, but there is a lot of customization that you can do for your own playstyles. Traces are sort of these passives that you'll need resources. This will also give you additional abilities, effects, etc. Relics, which is the gearing system, guys, which will look very familiar to some of y'all. Get ready for some different types of gearings, which will enhance and get additional bonuses. And last but not least, we have the Eidolons, which is the form of additional, when you get duplicates of characters, you can, of course, upgrade them and get unlocking special abilities, passives, effects, all that good stuff. Now, on top of that, I just want to quickly show you all the summon page here. I mentioned I really want to get Himiko here, guys, but of course, being a gacha game, you can summon for different types of characters. Let me know who y'all might be gunning for soon. And then we have this character-specific special banners, which I'll cover in future videos. But as you can see here, we have the Swirl of Heavenly Spear. These special characters, Jingyon, look super, super cool. Can't wait to cover them and share that info with y'all. Honkai Star Rail just really feels like a cut above the rest in terms of quality. It feels like a AAA title straight out the gate, from the cutscenes, the visuals. I didn't even talk about the immersive story, the writing, the voice acting is superb. I was playing on English, and I've heard the Japanese and Korean lines are even better. And the combat makes every situation fun, discovering new combos, out-of-turn abilities. There's engaging and more difficult modes for those of you that want more of a challenge through the simulated universe, the difficult boss stages, etc. At least just from the basics that I've encountered thus far. To wrap it all up, guys, Honkai Star Rail is definitely worth your time. Looks amazing, plays amazing. The dedicated client itself, absolutely perfect. I can't wait to share more content with y'all. I hope this maybe piques some of y'all's interest, or those of you that are already on board are even more excited to come join me. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out, guys.